My name is Rowlands. I'm a nutritional balancing practitioner, and in this video I just want to talk about a couple of things. The first thing is how a lot of people tend to react on social media. Now, what kind of frustrates me quite a lot about the world that we live in today is that people think that you need some sort of medical degree or some high achievement PhD or whatever to have any say in the world or to know what you're talking about. And I'm going to go through some of the comments that people leave me on social media, and then I'm going to talk to you about the truth about the medical industry and how it actually came about. Now, in my opinion, this is how I see things. A doctor spends 5-6 years in this medical setting, just really talking about drugs and just talking about how humans have created this kind of synthetic material and thinking that that's somehow going to perfectly synergize with the human body. I don't know what the latest information is, but apparently, there's something ridiculous like 4 hours worth of actual nutrition talk when it comes to following a medical degree. Now, who do you want to trust? Do you want to trust someone who has read in books and knows and studied these medical drugs that have been human created, that we don't really know how it works with the body too well, and these people spend 5 years kind of spreading themselves out quite thin, in my opinion. Say someone comes to them about depression, they haven't studied depression for 5 years, they've studied many different things, and yes, you can go to someone who studied it more specifically, but and then usually giving advice along the terms of, okay, we've got a drug or we've got a pill to fix that. And I've had this in my life, in my experience with doctors, and most of my clients come to me and they're in the same position, and these people don't talk about what they eat, they don't talk about their exercise, they don't talk about their past necessarily, they don't talk about relationships, they don't talk about rest, lifestyle for the majority of the time, and that's quite frustrating. And then you've got me, for example, who went to all these doctors when I was 14, 15, didn't get an answer at all. In fact, many of the doctors made me worse. I was taking steroid tablets, which really killed off my system. I was taking antibiotics all my life, which seriously messed up my gut flora. I was on anxiety medications, which just sent me even more anxious. I was told that I just had low self-esteem, that was just my problem. And I went to a CBT therapist, that didn't work. So I spent 6 years in very deep and quite hard circumstances. I had 30 plus symptoms, and I learnt the hard way, and I experienced things on the line, and I did the hard work. I learnt about nutrition, I learnt about sleep and rest, I learnt about supplementation, I learnt about the truth about the medical industry, and I got through it. And I did the work. It took me 5 years of hard work for me to consider being a nutritional balancing practitioner, because I knew that I didn't want to give advice to people if I didn't feel 100% comfortable with what I was saying, and I hadn't gone through the experiences that I wanted to go through in order for me to feel confident of giving my information to other people. I kind of was on Facebook a lot of the time giving out information, and I just used to get constant backlash after backlash after backlash. Recently I've done an online course for EMF sensitivity. I've spent many hours, they're unpaid hours. It took me a lot of hard work, and you get backlash from people. So I'm going to read a couple of comments here and just try and explain them for a little bit. So this guy's wrote, "He isn't even sensitive from what I've seen. I don't think he has a clue about EMF or EHS sensitivity." Now, I am creating an online course which teaches you how not to be sensitive to EMF anymore. So can you understand the logic behind that comment? He isn't sensitive from what I've seen. Correct. I'm not sensitive anymore. I've gone through the hard work. I've been, you know what I mean? I've lived it, and I've come out the other side, and I'm creating a course to teach you guys how you can overcome your EHS sensitivity too. So what I'm not trying to belittle people, I'm just trying to say you can't. These people used to bring me down quite a lot, and now I realise that a lot of it actually comes from Facebook. It's quite a toxic platform in my opinion. That's one of the reasons why I moved to YouTube, because it's much better in terms of like interacting with the people that you want to interact with. This guy says, I listened to some of his webcast, and all he has done is gathered up material that is on the internet and is offering a course for healthcare practitioners. I don't really understand that. No, I haven't just gathered things from the internet. As I say, and it says in my landing page, I've spent 10 years, 6 years in very serious circumstances, and another 5-6 years, in fact I've been in the program now 6 years of intense healing. It's took me 6 years to create this course. So I haven't just gathered information from the internet. From what I could find out about him, he is just an author that has no real medical training. I've wrote maybe 3 articles, so I'm not sure where the author aspect of that has come from. As I say, I do much more work on YouTube videos, so yeah, I don't understand about that. He has no real medical training. I'm going to go on to that in a minute. I'm going to talk about the truth about the licensing association, and you know, it's probably not what you would expect it to be, and it really colours people's minds, which is not very nice to see, especially on the internet. He's also sitting in front of a computer with a problem, like it doesn't affect him. As I said, you know, I'm creating this online course to teach you how not to feel EMF anymore. You know, so yes, I am sitting in front of a computer because it doesn't affect me anymore. I would suggest you listen to his sales pitch and form your own opinion. I live with someone who is impacted by EMF and Wi-Fi, and the solutions he was spewing out made me see red. So, one, I'm not really giving a sales pitch. I mean, if you go to these sales pitch landing pages, I mean, they're pretty disgusting, the way that they try and manipulate people into buying things. I haven't done that. I've just been totally honest with my information. There's no sales pitch whatsoever. There's no buy this. There's no kind of psychological ways of thinking. It's just, here I am. This is what I'm going to do. If you want to learn more, sign up. And the solutions he was spewing out, I'm not sure what solutions you've heard me say, but so far with around 100, 200 clients I've been working with, all the solutions that I've been offering to people are working. And then you get some comments. I mean, there's one particular guy that's commented on here, who I've seen a lot of people comment on this particular Facebook forum over the years, and they comment with some really good stuff. And this person, it doesn't matter what they say, it doesn't matter who they are, you know, this person will 100% try to put them down without fail. Now, you know, all I'm trying to say is here, this used to frustrate me a lot more. It doesn't frustrate me as much anymore. So as I say, it's one of the reasons why I did a YouTube channel. But what I want to say to people is, don't let these people put you down. Don't let these people get on top of you. If you know the truth, if you can feel the truth, it doesn't matter if you haven't studied 6 years in medical school. At the end of the day, I didn't want to do this when I was older. I didn't want to become a doctor. I didn't want to become a professor. I didn't want to become any of that. The only reason why I'm doing this for you guys now is because I went through the experience by myself. I did the hard work. I mean, people don't realise the amount of hard work that I went through. And that's the reason why I didn't do a medical degree. I mean, I couldn't even do one anyway. I was so sick. So, you know, it doesn't make sense. I'm sure you can understand the logic. So I want to read to you some information now about the American licensing system, the American medical licensing system, for you to get an idea about the truth about that. So in the 1900s, the American health system was basically a free market system. So a free market system is basically whereby it's a little bit like a car garage system. So basically, if you have a problem with your car, you will probably ask a few friends who's a good mechanic, and they will say, well, this guy's good, he's good value for money, and basically the competition is healthy, and you would kind of pick someone who would suit your needs the best. So it was like that basically, and there was no licensing. You didn't have to worry about anything. It was okay, this guy's good. It was word of mouth. Go to him, good price. This guy's terrible, and that guy used to get pushed out, the terrible guy, because people just didn't trust him. It wasn't good, and that's how it worked. And America had the one of the best health. The people's health was among the best in the world at that time. And then the American Medical Association started to get involved. So in 1847, the formation of the American Medical Association came about. They said they wanted to protect public against quacks, but the prime objective, however, was to increase the income of its members, the drug doctors and allopaths. Now, as I say, when you live in a free market system, it's pretty difficult to kind of, work with quacks, because people would tell you, this guy's a quack, don't do it, go to this guy's got lots of experience, he's got good value for money, he's worked with this person, he's worked with that person, and it was a lot of rubbish. They really wanted to increase the income of its members. So what they did was they wanted to eliminate this competition by passing licensing laws. So basically, and this is really fascinating, basically every law restricting the practice of medicine in America has been enacted not on the crest of public demand, but due to intense pressure from the political representatives of physicians. So this is where the power structure starts moving straight away. As this started to come about, the public was not involved. It was due to immense pressure by political representatives of physicians. This is how you can see that this big conglomerate is starting to suck all the truth and all the money and all the trust from the people. Okay. So, the AMA's efforts culminated in 1910 when Abraham Flexner, a former school director and not a physician, was commissioned by the Carnegie Foundation to evaluate medical schools. He was the brother of Simon Flexner, head of the Rockefeller Institute, shock, for medical research. Working closely with the AMA, he completed a survey of medical schools that was practically a carbon copy of a report the AMA had prepared several years before. So basically this charlatan, who wasn't even a physician, created this report, which was basically the same report as another one that AMA released a few years before. And surprise, surprise, the report found all, put all in capitals, all but the drug medicine schools substandard. So basically said all the schools are no good apart from the schools that are drug based. I mean, that is quite shocking. So, with plenty of financial backing from the Carnegie Foundation, we all know about the Carnegie Foundation, and AMA lobbied state legislators to pass licensing laws to improve healthcare. I'll read that again. With plenty of financial backing, the Carnegie Foundation and AMA lobbied state legislators to pass licensing laws under the umbrella of improving healthcare. They really wanted to take up all the income, stifle competition, and pull this into a big conglomerate. The government, they suggested, should also subsidise the new pharmaceutical industry and drug research. Unbelievable. Their efforts succeeded, and by 1920 most states had licensing laws. The number of healing schools fell from 140 in 1900 to 77 in 1940. Schools failed because their graduates could no longer practice. All schools that accepted women were closed, as were all but two that trained African Americans. Only drug medicine schools remained. So that's unbelievable. They suggested to the government that they should subsidise the new pharmaceutical industry and drug research. Unbelievable. I'm sure you can see where this is going now. Licensing remains the basis for virtually total AMA monopoly union control of medical education, hospitals, clinics and laboratories. In recent years, chiropractors, physical therapists, psychologists, cosmetologists, naturopaths and others have pushed their own laws in some or all states. Instead of getting rid of the system that shut them out for years, they are starting to join it, unfortunately. This is increasing its power and prestige, and many states now have 30 or more licensing boards. Now, ever since the American Medical Association stuck their nose into the free market system of the healing system, the health in general of Americans has plummeted. They was at the top in the 1900s, and as soon as these legislations came in, the health was going down, 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 down. And it's so shocking now that the third most leading cause of death is due to medical malpractice. I mean, that just says it all, in my opinion. So now I'm going to go through some of the problems with licensing and some of the problems with this ridiculous medical conglomerate that has taken shape. Now, I'm not saying that there's not benefits to the system. There definitely is, but you have to weigh up the benefits with the problems. And in my opinion, the problems far outweigh the benefits. And here's some of the problems, in my opinion. So, licensing restricts healing. Healing is a gift and an art. It really is. I mean, now, when I speak to people on the internet, I kind of don't like it when they've got a medical degree, because, I don't know, there's just something about it that just seems off and fake to me. I much prefer using my intuition, using my humanness to feel into what a person's saying and what they're thinking, and using my logic and my own common sense and the way that they act and the way that they speak and their passion and what they're all about. To me, that means so much more. I can just, in an instant, figure out whether someone's a charlatan or not just by the way that they present themselves. And so it really is a gift and an art. Nowadays it's been turned into this kind of weird robotic system that just doesn't sit well for me. So many gifted individuals cannot, for various reasons, complete the 6 to 12 years of schooling necessary to obtain a medical license. Licensing deprives the population of the skills and art of these individuals and prevents many gifted individuals from sharing their skills. The public is forced to patronise only those who can hack the medical courses and exams, regardless of whether or not they are the most gifted healers. I mean, I've experienced this throughout my life. People patronising others because they cannot hack the course or the exams. It just pigeonholes people into this weird system whereby there's no heart involved anymore. It's just all robotic to me. It doesn't sit well. Secondly, it interferes with the doctor-patient relationship. A licensed physician is no longer responsible just to his patient. His loyalty is divided between satisfying his licensing board and satisfying the patient. The licensing board comes first if he wants to stay in practice. Anything other than that between the doctor and patient tends to lower the quality of care. The amount of times I have spoke to doctors who have told me that they worry about giving people natural advice and other advice away from what the healing licensing board want them to do. They want to sell them drugs, and they will knuckle down on doctors that are not selling drugs. I have heard this time and time and time again. Doctors are being worried. They're having to just hand out antibiotics willy-nilly because they're worried about giving other advice, other natural healing advice, because of the repercussions that it might bring. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Number 3, it stifles innovation, both in education and research. Not only do licensing requirements control what is taught in medical schools, but many government and university research positions require medical degrees and medical licenses. Yet, innovations in every field often come from people in other fields who do not possess advanced degrees and licenses. Morbidity and mortality resulting from restriction of innovation due to licensing laws is incalculable. Dangerous older methods are used while alternatives receive little attention. 4. It protects incompetence and outdated, dangerous drugs and procedures. Licensing laws protect accepted practice methods. These include many questionable and dangerous therapies and procedures. Many physicians hesitate to deviate from the accepted methods for fear of losing their licenses. It's just a fear-mongering practice. Also, it is harder to sue for malpractice when an accepted but dangerous procedure goes wrong. Furthermore, doctors are much less likely to speak out and testify against other doctors, as they risk censure by their licensing board. Original AMA guidelines discourage quality comparisons between doctors. As I'm sure you're starting to understand now, this is becoming a pyramid scheme system where people are just put into boxes and taught to regurgitate old, often dangerous methods. I mean, some of the advice that some of my clients have been given by doctors is borderline criminal. Me, for example, I was given Accutane as a drug for acne. Now, Accutane was a cancer drug originally, and they realised that it could get rid of acne, so they just rebranded the packaging and just gave it out to people. And this killed me off. This killed my liver. This killed my kidneys, my brain. You know, it is one of the worst drugs in the world. It is dangerous, but because this stuff is licensed, people are getting away with murder. It is absolutely disgusting. Number 5, the shield of license results in sloppier practices. The shield of license results in sloppier practices. Licenses gives doctors and hospitals the aura of responsibility and often arrogance that results in mistakes and shoddy work. A recent article in the Journal of AMA, and I've mentioned this before, revealed that medical mistakes are now the 3rd leading cause of death in America. So this is what happens. People lose passion, they lose interest, they're stuck in whitewashed walls, and they're just handing out terrible advice, sloppiness, mistakes, because there's no heart involved anymore. You know, healing is a gift, it's an art, it's been turned into this robotic machine. And because of these licensing laws, over this umbrella, people are getting away with murder. They really are. And then you got the costs. So, the costs of healthcare and access to care. Licensing contributes to higher costs because 1, it stifles innovation, which raises costs dramatically. 2, it reduces competition among doctors and clinics, increase the cost of services. 3, poorer quality of care and sicker population raises health costs. 4, increased litigation due to sloppiness and false expectations raise costs. Litigation is an important cost factor in medicine today. Among other things, it causes physicians to practice defensive medicine. Many unnecessary tests and procedures are performed, all of which raise costs. This is another problem I've seen. You know, people are just doing test after test after test after test, often unnecessary. I mean, blood tests, for example, people need to realise that blood is buffered by the body. Blood needs to be kept in balance as much as possible. If you get an acute toxicity in the blood, you will die. So the body uses its its defense mechanisms, and it pushes all these toxins and chemicals into the cells to protect itself. Yet we're having blood test after blood test to try and figure out the problem. And this is why people go to doctors over and over and over again and get blood tests and everything comes back normal. I mean, I had about 5 blood tests, all normal. And when I actually tested the cells, my cellular activity and production, man, I was in some serious problems. Number 5. Complying with licensing requirements, many of which have little to do with patient care, greatly increases the cost of service. Hospitals in some states have to answer 20 or more types of state and federal licensing agencies. Now, that's just a little snippet about the licensing system in America, and hopefully you're starting to realise that they don't have your best interests at heart. It started off in the beginning by the American Medical Association, and there was nothing wrong with the health system in America at that time. It was a free market system and it works really well. They wanted to take control, just like most of the industries today. And it really frustrates me when people jump on people's backs because they haven't got a medical degree. Now, you can go on the internet and you can find peer-reviewed papers that argue the opposite thing time and time again. So my advice to you guys is to use your intuition, use your instincts, and listen to the person in front of you. You'll get much further. That's what I've done, and that's what a lot of other people have done as well. Anyway, cool. I'll speak to you soon, and take care.